YouTube, I'm here with my boy Isaiah at PPG, and tell them what you did.
I topped their half-pace tournament with Dragonmaid, mostly pure, but there's a combo engine in there, so.
And this is not your first time topping either, is it?
No, I topped their Rise of the Duelist half-pace tournament and their Genesis Impact Regional way back in December.
And how did you do that? Was it the same deck? Did you do any modifications?
Same deck, with certain changes, but the entire core is mostly the same.
Now let's jump right back into it. Let's go.
Alright, so we have 3 copies of Chamber Dragonmaid, 3 copies of Parlor Dragonmaid, and 1 Dragonmaid Nurse. These are your archetype normal summon, not so much Nurse. Chamber and Parlor gets your engine started. Parlor's a little bit better because she can access your monsters too, which gives her a little bit more versatility, but they're both still really strong. Nurse is good for turning all your reborn cards into +2s, so your +1s into +2s, because she'll revive Chamber, and then Chamber will search something, vice versa. So this is the only ratio I think is worth right.
What's your favorite card to draw out of all of them?
If I had to say, it's probably Chamber. So even though Parlor is the better of the two for getting yourself started, once your engine is going, Chamber has a lot more for your grind. Being able to search tidying, which you can discard for Dragon Ravine, so there's a lot more utility.
I apologize for the noise in the background.
It is what it is, man. 3 copies of Rock Metal Dragon. This card is basically another version of Parlor and Chamber. It's not an archetype, but it's just a really strong dragon normal summon, right? The only big Dragonmaids I play are Dragonmaid Nurse, Dragonmaid Multiplier, and I guess Dragonmaid Red Eyes Darkest Metal Dragon.
Question, why only 1?
Of these 2?
Yes.
They're bricky, but I only need them to recycle the cards during the battle phase and push for OTKs. That's all they're useful. This card is good for breaking boards. It's technically a hand trap, because if you can target a monster, your opponent can't activate their effect, so it's really good for that. This is kind of a weird extender. Sometimes it comes up, but it only really comes up if you open too many Dragonmaids, which you really can. And then Red MD is Red MD.
Self-explanatory. The best card in the deck.
3 Nocto. This is a good extender, but it's also just a nice draw engine for card advantage. It's one of the 2 that I play, so playing it at 3 is fine. I probably think 2 might be better, because drawing too many could be tricky, but at the same time, I feel like at the very least I side 1 out more than I keep it in for 3. So I don't think 3 is mandatory, but I chose to main deck 3 today, and I don't think I was punished too bad.
Would you switch it up in the future?
Probably yes. And then 1 Tempest. This card's good for being banished off of Fusion Trishula. So you can rip your opponent's extra deck, the top card of their deck, which is negligible, but it's really the extra deck rip you want. And then Tempest will give you a plus by searching Dragonmaid Warpath. So it can help set up show by itself.
And it's a good extender too.
Right.
Is that it for all your dragons?
That is it for the main deck dragons. For hand traps, I chose 3 Ash, 3 Crow, and that's it. I only played 6 hand traps.
Only 6?
Yeah. I played 9 tech choices, but as far as hand traps, I felt these 3 were good enough for. These 2 were good enough for what I was gonna play today, and that was true for the most part. I did play Ultra Dice, where this card was bad, and it wasn't that great in the Prank Kids matchup, but I would just side it out for things that were more relevant, and then Ash is just kind of fine, so I just played it. For the extenders, we have Dragonmaid Hospitality.
What does that one do?
It's a really powerful card. It revives the Dragonmaid from your hand, your graveyard, or special summons one from your hand, and then it mills one with the same attribute, but a different level, from your deck to the graveyard. So it's like Foolish Burial, Monster Born in 1 card. It's really strong, but I don't think you need 3. I think 2 is fine. And then 1 Fusion Spell.
Mandatory?
Fusion Spell. You need it for the best card in the deck. One Dragon Ravine, one for one. This is just another copies of Black Metal Dragon, nothing more to say. And then Dragon Ravine is broken in Dragonmaid because this card has so much free excess card advantage that discarding this card and converting it into more resources is just really useful. So, when the Dragoonity cards, when my set of Dragoonity cards show up, I'm going to be playing this at 3, just because of its versatility. Nice. But for now, I only play 1. This is the second draw engine, 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity.
Why 3?
This card is literally just upstart with that you get to pick what you want. It is just that simple. I never banish 6, I only banish 3 every time. It doesn't matter if my hand is terrible. You banish 3 every time, and you're usually good to find something that will work.
And what's the main card you always want to see?
The next card.
Oh, okay.
This is what I always want to see off of Prosperity. This card, so the idea is, playing this card helps you see your better cards more often. So that was the idea. Instead of filling up on like other extenders, because like I could have played something like Monster Reborn or other cards that I felt couldn't technically increase consistency, or I could have this card which does the same thing, but it gives me added versatility, and I don't minus in card advantage for using it. So this card's best Dragon Reborn card in the game right now. It basically turns, it's basically 2 extenders in 1 because you can move Alpi, circumventing the need for Piston right away. So it just lets you skip steps. It's a really powerful card.
You always want to skip steps in Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yep. 3 Dark Ruler no more. Yes, in the main, because I don't own Droplet. But if I own Droplet, this would be Droplet. And I think Droplet is better than Dark Ruler in the main, no matter what.
Apparently you didn't need Droplets for
I
first
didn't. True. I mean, Dark Ruler, there are some benefits, right? Because with Dark Ruler no more, your Dragon Link matchup, when you Dark Ruler a Spheres, Droplet a Spheres, your opponent could like chain a Tidying and like use a hot red Dragon Archfiend Abyss to negate the to negate what you send with Tidying. But it's a lot, not Tidying. I'm sorry, I'm lost.
The circle sphere.
It's spheres, right? But with Dark Ruler no more, you kind of just take the whole board out at one time. And while it's true your opponent can still chain Tidying, you don't send a card to your graveyard. So unless you have something in your graveyard already, like a hand trap you already used, that play doesn't work, and they immediately lose to Dark Ruler no more. So at least they don't lose, but you only have to worry about the Sphere special summon from deck effects, and the set Tidying, which is a lot easier to play around than playing into a board of Savage Plus. So I felt this was better than playing a third set of hand traps.
I can imagine with Zeus too being a strong card.
Yeah, it's good and stuff in matchups like that too. And then this card is
mandatory.
Like, holy crap! This is probably the best trap card like in the game, or at least the current game. It does everything. It's removal. It's advantage in my deck. And like while Dragon Link is finally getting their toes wet with what you can do with this card, this deck breaks this card. You can bring back any Dragonmaid you want. You can send this card during your standby phase to keep your plays going with that extra little bit of inevitability. There's just so much versatility in this one card. So you max it out at 3. It is literally an extender that if you draw this card with any of your normal summons except for Nurse, you can full combo just by drawing the trap.
And the best part, it's searchable.
It is perfect discard fodder, searchable, it does everything it needs to.
Let's go on to the
That's
extra
it for the
deck.
main deck. For the extra deck, my fusion monsters. 1 Dragonmaid Show, 2 House Dragonmaid, and 1 Trishula. So like I said before, the goal is to use your guard dragons and leftover dragons to make this card, banish a card from your opponent's extra deck, and search off of Tempest to get lore power so that you can make Show. Because this card's insane, and it's probably like, it's a really underrated boss monster. It's just better Borloth Savage Dragon, right? Because it's an Omni-Negate that destroys, but it also increases your card advantage every standby phase because you can special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand in your graveyard. It doesn't even target, so your opponent has to be careful about it. And it essentially floats because you can dump a Tidying by reviving Parlor, and if your opponent Dark Ruler no more you, you can tribute it with Spheres, banish the Tidying, and bring it back.
That's a +2.
So you can like dodge a lot of different forms of removal. It's a very powerful card. My favorite card in the deck too. 2 striker,
Mandatory.
LP Pisty. This
Mandatory?
is like mandatory good dragon cards. Like you really don't need 2 striker, but I just played 2 because I needed another card. I probably could have played Nightmare Cerberus. That probably would have been pretty cool, but I mean it is what it is, right? I thought this was good.
Done for the Link 1s. Let's go
For
on.
the Link 2 dragons, 2 spheres.
Mandatory.
This card's busted. I mean,
Doesn't target.
holy crap, this card's busted.
Gives you a free monster.
I actually think this card is a better card than LP, like objectively, in its like simplicity, right? So a lot of people cry for LP's ban, but the difference between LP and Spheres is LP is a special summon from deck that requires 4 dragons or 3 if you have specifically World Legacy Guard Dragon. Spheres does the same thing, but it's also removal, right? So the +1s that these 2 cards gives you, they just happen in different ways. But by using Spheres, you can bounce an opponent's card, and if it was a Link monster or something that came from the extra deck, you immediately go +1 from that exchange because your Spheres will replace itself with a dragon from your deck, like such as Chamber, right? But then Chamber is going to search. So you're going to go +2 off of that 1 Sphere. And if you summon Nurse, then you add another 1 because you get Nurse and you get Chamber. Then if your opponent enters the battle phase, you get Earnest or Lorpar. Like, your advantage engine starts to snowball out of control very quickly because of this card. I think it's a lot stronger than this one. It's your safety net. If you take too many hand traps, you can always default to it. It is easily one of the best extra deck cards in the game. A lot of people are underestimating it. Then 1 Romulus, because it searches Dragon Ravine. That's pretty much all I needed to do. But its hand effect is useful for Tempest sometimes. And then Twin Triangle Dragon. This card has a very unique combo where you can target a level 5 or higher dragon, revive it. So what you do is you target Noctivision Dragon, revive it, then you make a Nightmare Unicorn, and then you chain block your Unicorn, and you pop up a Spell Trap card and you draw 2. Then you make, not Unicorn, Phoenix, then you use Unicorn, and you spin a card, and you draw another card, and then you make Access Cold Talkers.
Games.
You go to 5,300 attack points, then you pop your opponent's entire field, and you drew 3 cards off of this, and this card through summoning Noctivision in battle. So it's a really good advantage engine that's perfect for going for games. And it also is just a lot of attributes, right? Like fire, dark, wind, and light is usually what you have.
So you basically have like 4 to 3 pops.
4 pops. This is how I beat Crank Kids in my semi-final match. They had so much advantage and they had a little bit more life points, but I popped all their resources, drew a couple cards, and ran them over.
Who was your last opponent? What deck was he playing?
My last opponent was the cameraman himself.
How trash was he?
He was good, bro. Respect my man. Alright, for the side deck, 1 Koaki Mirror Dragon. This card is an auto win against Dragon Link if they don't summon a monster in attack mode and you summon it off Spheres. And it's an auto win against Eldritch because they literally can't do anything but pray they open Eldritch and can send it to the graveyard, or they open some supplementary engine like Zoo or something like that. So it's a really strong card just to have as a 1-up. It's also good against Shaddoll and Bolt and pretty much everything in the format right now. Lightning Dart's always good, so having 1 is good.
Is that ulti?
Yeah, it is ulti.
Oh my god.
3 Rock. Definitely underperformed. I didn't see it once today. Not much to say about it. Okay. The only thing I'll say is I think the logic in playing this card against Dragon Link is fine because a deck like mine has a ceiling. So if I can reduce them to individual card quality with equalizers like Nibiru, then I'll win through the grind. And that's kind of what I want to do. So I think it's a
did you see it though?
I didn't see it all, sir.
But did you cite it?
I did. I set it in, but I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Apparently you didn't need it.
And then this card, Lancia is what won me my matchup against Dragon Link. It's the same principle, right? Like they have better cards than I do, right? But I grind better than they do. So if I use cards to reduce the quality of their cards to smaller pieces, then I'll come out every time, and that's exactly what happened. I drew double Lancia, Dynamiscus, Chamber, and an Ash Blossom, and like I just normal Chamber, search Tidings, set 2, pass with 3 hand traps, and my opponent just couldn't play the game. And then on my following turn, I went full combo because tidying plus chamber and chamber such as hospitality, 2-card combo, turn 3, OTK. So, and then I play for my back row removal. I played 2 Twin Twisters, 1 Duster, 1 Storm, 1 Reboot. I feel like this is the safe combo deck package. You should be playing at least one of each when you're dealing with back row.
Why not main deck them though?
You don't want to draw into them. You want combo cards, things that help your advantage, or like cards that stun your opponent but also give you advantage, like Tidy.
Okay.
And then I played Twin Twister specifically for the Dogmatic and Bulk matchup, but I never saw it. I never had the matchup. But it's good for Schism because you want to have some quick play removal to stop that.
I see a lot of people playing Twin Twister over Galaxy right now.
You want to get the card, it's the card economy, right? For a deck like mine, I can risk the discard of a Tidying to pop 2 cards, right? And sometimes getting that Tidying in the graveyard, or if I have too many normal summons in my hand, it's a benefit to just discard.
Dump it out, and
right?
then just get it back in your battle phase.
Exactly, because I end up getting the plus in the long run just by having it in the graveyard because it's better there than in my hand. So that's why I chose Twin. And then a card I was testing today, Dynamiscus. I felt the format has a lot of choke points in like card economy for boss monsters, or not really boss monster, but setup monster, right? Zodiac, for example, normal summon the zoo. If I Dynamiscus that zoo, that's it, right? Like there's no follow up. Prankets, same thing. They literally have to have a set of Prankets and a fusion spell to make it out of this. Like, Dragonmaid can play through one of these, but on top of like, even if it's just like a Tidying or a Spheres in this card, targeting a Link 2 on LP effect declaration, you can just end their like turn or force them to a Sphere. So that's why I thought this card was good. And then it's good against Eldritch because you just banish Eldritch and you win that one. So it was okay. I wanted to play Imduk, the World Childish Guard Dragon, because if you activate it like a set Tidying, you can activate this card's graveyard effect and revive itself and then convert it into a dragon, but I just didn't have the card. Otherwise, this second Striker Dragon absolutely would have been Imduk. Will I play it again? Probably not, mostly because I'm moving towards a different Dragunity build, but at the same time, it was very good today for me. It was that nice last piece of interruption that was just free to search. And in a way, it's also back row removal.
One last question. What decks did you play against?
So my that's it for the profile, but the decks that I played against, round 1, I played against Phantom Knights, and I had to draw that. It was like, it is what it is. We were both playing grindy decks with traps that revive, so we just ended up going in time. I got nibbed game 1 and I lost, and then I got nibbed game 2 and I won. It was funny. And then game 3, we couldn't get very far. So it is what it is. Game 2, round 2, I played Ultrageist. That was a 2-0. No, it was 2-1. Game 1, I just ran him over with sheer card advantage. Game 2, he stoned me out with, I think it's Siliquidus. And I drew 3 copies of Parlor, so that was like awful. I couldn't really play. But then I came back in game 3, and he had Imperial Order up, right? So like it turned off most of my good cards. But my advantage was just so much better than his that I could just afford to keep setting Tidying, entering the battle phase, and summoning Warpaw, and slapping all of his Ultrageist monsters until I eventually had enough resources to to beat him down, because he was putting himself on a clock by playing Imperial Order, since you take 800 every standby phase.
I think it's like 7.
And then 7 or 8 every standby phase, and then your what's the card? He played 2 copies of Solemn Strike on me that game, so he
was just wearing himself out.
He put himself at 3,000 without me having to do anything.
Oh, that's good.
It
sounds
was
like
free.
me.
Round 3 was Dragon Link. Very easy for the most part. It was a 2-1. Game 1, he went first, but I opened enough equalizers to simplify the game state really quickly, like I said. Specifically, it was DD Crow and Dark Ruler No More. Those were the 2 cards I used. So I could just play through his board. I couldn't combo under it, But at the very least, I was able to get him down to an individual card quality, like I said, and then reviving and searching tidings, and I'm reviving Ernest's and tagging, and
You grinded him out.
yeah, the grind just took over there. Game 2, I couldn't do it because he made like an Appaloosa, a Savage, tiding set. It was too much, and I didn't draw any like equalizers,
rulers?
nothing like that. I drew too many normal summons, in fact, which is an issue with the deck, but it is what it is. And then game 3, I just opened 4 hand traps in chamber and just won through that. My round 5 matchup was
Well, round 4?
round 4. I'm sorry. My round 4 matchup was. I think it was,
Crank
yeah, it was 5 rounds today, right?
Yeah, 5 rounds.
Prank Kids. So that one was another grinding matchup, but I won that purely because, like I said, my cards do a little bit more than
Prank
theirs. Their cards do a lot, but they require specific setups, like being linked off for a Prank Kids Link Monster or Fusion Summon. So all I needed to do was bounce their summons or like force them into having the Fusion spell, and then like I even Trishula banished their 1 copy of Butler. I know some people play 2, but my opponent was playing 1, so I banished it. And he really didn't have a way to interact with my advantage, so I just won. Like it was 2-0.
Easy matchup, huh?
Easy matchup.
It was easy because of Spears is broken. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
okay. Prank Kids is trash. What about getting around 5?
And then in round 5, I played Zombie Eldritch.
How trash
Yours
was it?
truly?
It was a good matchup. It's a good matchup for my opponent because my opponent has Zombie World, but at the same time, their advantage engine isn't as good as mine. So if Zombie World isn't performing like its job, if I can out it, then I kind of just run them over. You kind of just need to stop me with a floodgate like any other combo deck, or you just lose. And that's kind of like what happened. I also won the die roll, so
I roll a 5, he roll a 6.
yeah, it's just like that.
You 2-0'd him, didn't you? Okay, yeah, he got 2-0'd.
No.
Okay.
No.
He won game 2. Come on, it's 2-1. Give your man some respect.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for the profile, guys.
Any shout outs?
Shout out, my only main shout out would probably be the Dragonmaid Discord server. A lot of my theory crafting goes on there. A lot of like my research, testing, all of that really happens there. So if any of you are interested in the future of this strategy to see maybe what I'm doing, go ahead and head over to that Discord. Also, you can like and subscribe on, of course, the channels that this will be uploaded. My friend
Shonen Samurai, aka Joe Gang.
there you go, and myself, Sorabel on YouTube. And you can follow everything I do there. A lot of my Yu-Gi-Oh based content revolves around this strategy, and I'll always be tending to it as the years go on. So thanks, guys. I'm gonna enjoy my prize.
First
You guys have a
place.
great day.